Hi, my name is Chris Thomas, and I'm one of the pastors at Cross Church Yokosuka. And today, I want to talk to you about this thing. So this is actually a lamp, and this is the type of lamp that they used back when Jesus was alive. And so all it is, it's a clay vessel, it's a clay pot, and they would put oil inside of it, and they would light it on fire, and this would be what they would use to illuminate their home. And so this pot, um, I'm bringing it up today because I want to go over the spiritual disciplines with you. We're going to start a series on the importance of the spiritual disciplines. And before I can do that, I want to explain to you why it's important that we practice the spiritual disciplines. And I'm going to use this pot in the Bible to do that. And so this clay jar, this clay pot, it's mentioned three different times, well, more than that, but three times I'm going to talk about today in the Bible. And the first time is from 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verses 6 and 7. There, the Apostle Paul is comparing our bodies to this clay vessel. He says there's a wonderful treasure inside, but this is what holds it, this weak clay vessel, this weak body. And that's like us. If you're a Christian, you have the greatest treasure inside of you. You have the truth about who Jesus is, you have the Holy Spirit. This is the thing that illuminates the world. This is the truth. We have the truth that brings light to darkness. But we hold it in these very frail, very weak bodies. These bodies these bodies of sin, these bodies that grow old, these bodies that get sick, these bodies that die. And it's important that we remember that our body is like this clay vessel, like this clay lamp. It breaks so easy, but what's contained inside of it is so valuable, and that is the light that burns brightly in the darkness. And the second verse I want to mention is Matthew chapter 5, verses 14 through 16. That's from the Sermon on the Mount, and Jesus is talking about us being the light of the world. And Jesus says, if you had a lamp, would you take that lamp and would you cover it up with a basket? No, you would put it on top of a mountain for people to see it. And that's another reminder that as Christians, we need to show the world our light. We need to burn brightly so that way people know that the light is out there. We don't want to cover it up. We don't want to hide what's going on the inside of us. We don't want to stop what the Holy Spirit is doing. We want to burn brightly for Christ, and we want to show the world that brightness. And the final verse I want to talk to you about is taken from Matthew chapter 25, verses 1 through 13. And that is the parable of the 10 virgins. So in the story, there are 10 virgins, and there's a big wedding, right? And weddings in the Middle East back then, they were huge events. They went on for days. And it wasn't really like now where you have everything scheduled. This is going to happen at 5 o'clock. At 6 o'clock, the bride's going to come down the walkway. It wasn't scheduled like that, right? It was people just came kind of as they felt like it. And so, again, it's a multi-day event, and there's these 10 virgins, and they're waiting for the bridegroom to come, so that way they can go and eat the feast with him. Well, all these girls, they look exactly the same. Everything looks the same about them, except for one thing. 5 of them have extra oil for their lamp, and 5 of them do not. And so what happens is that 5 of the virgins, their lamp runs out of oil before the bridegroom comes. They run out and they don't have extra. They don't have any. And so they ask the other 5 girls with the extra oil, can we borrow some? And those girls say, no, if we lend you our oil, then we won't have any for our own. And so the 5 virgins without the oil, they go and they leave to get more oil, and that's when the bridegroom comes. And they miss his coming because they ran out of oil for their lamps. And so I want to talk to you about this. What is the oil for the lamp? So, I mean, I think it's a couple things, right? Obviously, it's the Holy Spirit. But the Holy Spirit, he doesn't exactly run out. So what else is it that we put in our lamps that can run out? And namely, we're not doing our spiritual disciplines. We're not doing the things that make us closer to God and fill us. So what are some of the spiritual disciplines? Well, you have 2 types of spiritual disciplines. You have corporal spiritual disciplines, and then you have personal spiritual disciplines. The corporal spiritual disciplines are the things that we do as a body of believers together. Things like going to church for worship, singing together, fellowshipping together, evangelizing together, anything that you would do together, praying together is a big one. Anything that you would do together as a body of believers, that is the corporal spiritual disciplines. But then you have private spiritual disciplines. These are the things that we do on our own. Things like, again, praying, reading our Bible, meditating on the Word, journaling. All these things, these are the things that the Holy Spirit uses to help us mature as believers, to help us become sanctified. Again, we're taking this information in, but He's the one that's using these things to change us into Christ's image. But if we are not putting oil in our lamp, if we're not doing those things, He has very little to work with. And the other thing is, if you are trying to go through the Christian life and you're not doing those things to fill your lamp, you are going to burn out, my friend. And so, over the next few weeks, I'm going to be going over these spiritual disciplines. I'm going to be going over things, very practical things that can help you keep your lamp full so that way you will be burning brightly and burning brighter and getting brighter until the day that Christ returns. So, if you like this video, please hit subscribe. And as always, thank you and God bless.